This is Shibi from Cashfree Payments product team. Today we'll quickly look at Cashfree Payments Developer Suite for Payment Gateway, which are basically set of tools designed for developers to make their integration faster, debug any issues they might be facing, or just to monitor the integration. So we'll start by logging to merchant dashboard. I've already done that. You can log in via merchant.cashfree.com. Then we'll go to the developer section under payment gateway. There you can find the developer section, or you can directly go there as well. There are multiple parts in developer section. First is API keys, which is to generate keys used to call your API, so that you can do via API keys section. Then there is webhooks, which is like webhooks are async calls which Cashfree would do to your configured endpoint in case of any event happens. So suppose if you have subscribed for a payment success webhook, and whenever a payment is successful, Cashfree would send data like a webhook to your configured endpoint. Now, how you would configure that endpoint is via this page. You can add the endpoint, select the version, and subscribe for events you would like to have. So there are multiple events which you can subscribe for. Now, once you configure the endpoint, you would can see the logs over this page, like Cashfree. Whenever sends a webhook or tries to send a webhook, there will be a log under this section. So if you feel that you are not receiving the webhook or there's any error occurring, so you can view that from this page. There would be success webhooks where the endpoint responded with a success response, and we were successfully be able to send the webhook. But in case of failure, you can see what was the error and why the webhook failed. And there were multiple attempts which Cashfree tried, so you can see the data of each attempt, and that is where you can see if if you are not receiving the webhooks, then what the reason, what are the errors you are facing. You can use these filters to search by a specific endpoint or via webhook type. Then there is API logs. So API logs, similar to webhook logs, you can see what are errors which are faced in your APIs and what are the reasons for that failures. So if you've seen last 4 hours, these two APIs are failing, which are post orders and order sessions. And what are the errors which due to which these APIs are failing? So customer phone invalid or customer email invalid. And for each error, like you see there were 27 counts. So you can see 27 logs for each API call you tried, and what was the request, what was the response body, other. So you can get visibility on all the data regarding that API call. So suppose customer email invalid, you see the message, email provided, value received is test email. So there's no at the rate. So that is how you can see why your APIs are failing or what are the major errors contributing to that failure, and you can debug that issue and make your integration better. So you can do that for last 4 hours. You can see for last 24 hours as well. So the next rule is rate limits, which is basically maximum number of API calls which Cashfree would allow per minute for the specific endpoint for your account. So suppose for post orders, the configured rate limit is 200 per minute. That is the maximum number of API calls which you could do per minute. So you can see how many API calls you are doing over time. So that's the graph. You can see there's one spike and how the usage has been. So if you see the usage is like 1.2%, so that is very far below your rate limit. So if suppose it reaches above 80% or above 90%, and you feel that you might so cross the configured rate limit, you can always request for a higher rate limit by reaching out to Cashfree, and we would do that. Then there is burst limit, which is basically time-bound rate limit. Suppose you have a sale going on and you want an extended rate limit for a specific day, that you can then you can request for a burst limit with an expiry. So this will help you see your configured rate limits, what are your API counts happening, what is your usage, and if there's any violation happening. And if its usage is about to reach like 100%, you can request for a higher rate limits. Whitelisting is basically to whitelist the domain or the package which you might be using, which on which you have integrated the payment gateway. So that's a necessary step for integrations like where you are using Cashfree's hosted checkout page. So you can request for a domain or a package from this view. Then there is integration usage. This view basically tells you about which integrations you are using and the volume coming from each integration. So suppose you are using SDK, you are using soft POS, payment links, APIs, plugins. And if you see the highest volume is coming from payment links, then there are APIs, but these APIs are old. So you would want to see if you are using any old integration, because that is something which soon might deprecate and you want to migrate to a newer version. So for this case, you might need to migrate to a newer version, which is V3. So you can see if you're using any older integration, and you can go to the docs where it will help you with how to migrate, on which version you need to migrate, and all the data or all the steps required for that. So that is where you can monitor all your integrations and see like if there's any migration required. So yeah, I think that is it. If you face any issues anywhere in using, or you can always reach out to care@cashfree.com. Hope it helps. Thank you.